there quite a lot of news then? Is there?
There's a normal amount.
Okay.
Not loads of notes, but yeah.
All right. Yeah, we are live. So I was also thinking like, there's just that thing. Before I jingle, it actually went alright when we did it later last week, didn't it? Like everyone seemed to prefer that time. At least our like frequent listeners. So we'll probably have because we have like a couple people show up when we do it at 12:30, our regular time, and yeah, like Joaquin and who was it? Someone else. Timmer was just like, oh, I won't fall asleep. I won't fall asleep during the podcast this time. So maybe it is better just to switch it, not earlier but later, like do it in the evenings from now on. But
yeah, maybe. We'll have to have a think about it.
Yeah, obviously it has to fit around our schedules as well, not just those greedy fucks. All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're jingling now. So.
All right, fantastic. Hi everyone, this is the 87th episode of the Quick Resume podcast. Thanks for joining us. Your presence is appreciated. If you haven't been before, my name is Tim. Over there, that's Deck.
Thanks, man. Oh, I'm Deck. Finally, an upgrade.
Oh, wow. God, we tricked you. Always keeping you on your toes, even if you're a regular listener. Yeah. I'm Deck.
For anyone new, they just would have assumed that, yes, I was Deck and you were indeed Tim. So it's not really a gotcha.
Yeah. Any new listener would just be like, why? Why have you wasted? Get on with it. I got shit to do.
I'm clicking off.
That's it. This is why we get subscribers so slowly. Although, speaking of which, 50 subscribers this week. 51. We're at 51 at the moment.
Wow, that's go.
Fun, man.
Over the 50s.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get to 100 by the end of the year. But, you know, podcast channels just grow really, really slow. It's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I mean, it's not all about YouTube anyway. I mean, we stream on YouTube and stuff, but we get listens on all the other platforms. Probably higher numbers than we get on YouTube, right? When we on like Spotify and other podcasting platforms and stuff. So,
well, I don't know actually. I could tell you. 60 plays in the last 30 days. It's not bad. I probably think we do get more on YouTube. You know.
Okay, that's interesting. Probably our wonderful, beautiful faces.
Yeah, that must be it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we do our best to put stuff up on the screen, don't we? Well, you know, we're trying. I'm making some really stimulating polls as well. That's
You are, yeah. Unnecessary.
I think one time, I think. What did I ask? I can't remember what I asked. What was it like? Do you like polls? And I think the answers I gave were yes, no, and lemon.
I know. Literally,
lemon one.
That was when I first told you about the feature that you could do polls, and you were literally just like, I just heard you start smashing your keyboard, and then that monstrosity came out.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. I need to get into the control room. Okay, that's fine. Let's get on with this while I do that. So, everyone, it's been, do you know what? Personally, and also in the Xbox world, it's been a shit week.
Yeah.
You know, just across the board. I can't lie to you. So, we're gonna try and keep this light. We're gonna be really funny, you know, like we always are. Really funny guys.
That's a lot of pressure, man.
It is a lot of pressure. I'm sorry, you know, we're here to perform. Like dancing monkeys, the two of us.
I don't want to. I can't do it. I'm out.
Right, just read what's on the screen then. So we'll start with the basics. Timbuktu, how are you?
It's a good sweet little ride there, dude.
Yeah, I was right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pretty tired these days as well. We're both going through quite a lot of changes at the moment. I definitely think you more than me, but regardless, there's still stuff happening in my life. You know, moved out, new job, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's it can be a bit taxing, a little bit tiring. But yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting into the swing of things. But yeah, just kind of tired and a bit more exhausted. Finding less time for gaming, definitely at the moment. But still managing to get on bits and bobs. But no sort of late night multiplayer binges with 4 or 5 friends sort of thing. It's just this week I've mainly been playing Hi-Fi Rush and Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
So about Hi-Fi Rush, I mean, we spoke about it in quite a bit of detail last week. Obviously, we're very fond of the game, both of us. And yeah, it's really good, man. I'm still having a great time with it. I just beat Mimosa.
Mimosa.
The head of marketing.
A mimosa is a cocktail, right?
A mimosa is a drink. Yeah, I believe it's a cocktail. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Just had to check.
And yeah, so I just did that. That was quite a fun level, quite fun cinematic sort of boss fight. Really easy. I was talking to Deck about this on the private chat, which was really funny because he said he struggled with this boss, but this boss was brain dead.
I did.
Legitimately, all you had to do was use Corsica, then LT, then Peppermint, then LT, then the other guy, and you broke her stamina every single time. That was it. I didn't have to aim. I literally just hit. I literally just hit the triggers like this, and then she was staggered, and then I comboed her, and then I hit the triggers like this, and then staggered and comboed her. It was. I don't know if that made it past QA. I should do some QA testing. But yeah, an extremely easy boss fight. But yeah, pretty enjoyable. Good scene. Good like set piece, and yeah, I'm still having a lot of fun with it.
Have you done the bit after that then? The level? Have you like gone into the next level?
No. So I believe. No, I believe I literally just beat her and I'm back at the hideout and just chilling. Okay. Now. I haven't gone into the next stage yet.
The very beginning bit of the next level is so good. It's so good. It's like one of the best bits in the game. It's amazing.
Really? Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I'm still really enjoying it. I think the novelty is wearing off a little bit for me. Like I do. Oh, hi David. By the way, hello. I do feel like I'm still really enjoying it, but like I'm getting to the point where like I'm like, okay, like I'm kind of glad I'm approaching the last like 20-25% of the game sort of thing. At least for me. Obviously your experience is very different. You know, I'd still give. No,
I felt the same. I was happy it ended.
Oh,
I was happy it ended when it did.
Brilliant. Yeah, because it's kind of it's good, but yeah, it's the novelty started to wear off a little bit, and yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's an excellent game, and I can't find the little bits that I'm not a fan of are so small. Like there's this one bit, you know, the big guy.
That's right.
The big guy that punches through stuff. Yeah. Macaroon, yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I use him, it fucks up all of my senses. I don't know where his circle is, you know, in the timing. Because it like goes in, it like goes over his shoulder, it zooms in and out. There's circles going in and out. And I'm literally like, which one? Do I like time it now? Do I time it there? It's like a sensory overload. I can't wrap my mind around it.
You mean like for everything, like a jam combo, and when you're using him to punch?
No. Just him punching. I like if I'm just not even in a fight and I'm just using him to punch a wall. I just can't. It fucks me up. I don't know. There's just something about the audio, the visuals for him, where I'm like, oh, this is the circle. I need to time it now, and I'm like, oh no, that was still part of like his intro animation. And it was just, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just me, but it's weird. I feel like it's a lot of visual clutter when I'm using him, even if I'm not even using him in a fight. I'm literally like, what's happening?
I mean, I do agree with you. Like, I think there are some points in the game, like very few, but there are some points where there's just a bit too much. Like I said last week, like maybe like 10% more than my brain can handle. And it just ruins my flow a little bit. Mimosa was one of the bosses for me. Like clearly that wasn't the case for you, but I was fighting like an idiot apparently. I had that problem with the final boss. But I didn't have a problem with any of that as well. But so I know what you mean. But again, for the most part, it's so minute. But
Mhm.
I did get that a couple of times.
Yeah, yeah, and there's stuff like, when you're doing the whole fucking um I don't know, one example is when you were putting those circuits back online, and at the I can't remember, but you had to you had to shoot those balls with peppermint and like connect the circuit, and then right at the end you essentially went into this thing where you press B on it, and it puts you into like a Guitar Hero sort of segment where you have to be like X Y X X Y, hold X
Mm.
Y, and if you fuck up even
Yeah.
one, it sets you all the way back to the beginning. You have to press B on the fucking object again. There's like this weird like 2 or 3 second like hang time before it starts again, and then I mispress a button again, and back to the beginning we go. And it's just like, for fuck's sake, little things like that really annoyed me. Where I was literally just like, okay, I get it. And it like, I got increasingly frustrated. I like fucked it up like twice. And it's not like,
There are
oh
definitely
man, that's a hard beat. I was literally like, fuck me, this is fucking annoying. I want to get past this bit now.
There's some points of the game where the game literally is like, right, sit the fuck down and concentrate. Like the next 5 minutes, you need to concentrate. And if you don't, like, you can get stuck for a few
and like
minutes.
Corsica's boss battle was a little bit like that as well. Like the fact that you had to get it perfect every single time. And if like if
really
you
didn't
fucked
find
up
that,
like
though.
her 8-stage rhythm, she was just like, the game was like, try again. You're not getting past this bit until you get every single beat. And I'm like, shut up. God, I don't know, man. It's just me, little things like that. But yeah, I mean,
the thing is, I think for me, the game did really well on like a lot of those moments where it like where some of the fights dragged because I was fucking up, because like the music would evolve. Like for the Corsica one, I remember like the music would build up, and especially in the last one, if you kept fucking up, like all of the characters would like chime in for like reassurance, and even Chai would be like, I came all this way, and it's like there's like a violin popping off in the background, and so I didn't really find that in a lot of those ones. It became a problem because it just the game like pushed you forward, through the music and through like the dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, there was only
Just
just a
me, though.
handful of bits where I just felt like
Yes.
it just stalled, and I'm literally just like, oh god, like, do I really need to press like, do I really need to action this object again and start from the beginning? Like, can you not just cycle the beats to me again automatically? I don't know. It was just little things like that. But overall, the game's excellent. I'm still not sure if I'm a huge fan of rhythm type games and stuff like that. I do find I get lost in the beat. Like, I lose the beat quite a lot sometimes, and I just button mash. But for the most part, it's pretty good. I'd give it like a solid like 8.5. Like right now, I don't know if it's breaching the 9s for me right now. But still an excellent game. And having a great time with it. And It sounds like I've got a lot of good stuff still to look forward to. So, and then Darkest Dungeon. So yeah, I've hopped on that. Believe it or not, I've never played Darkest Dungeon before. So everyone who likes this kind of genre has probably played this game before. So I won't go into too much.
It's on Game Pass, we should say.
It's on Game Pass.
That's why he's playing it.
It came out on Game Pass
this week.
with touch controls. You can play it on your phone, which is actually pretty cool.
Lovely, delightful.
But yes, it's good. Yeah, it's great. It's a really good game. It's been out for ages, so I won't go into too much detail about it. It's really vague with how it explains everything to you, which I kind of like and don't like at the same time, because like there's like, I pick up something and it's like a bottle of white liquid, and I'm like, does this heal me? Does it cure me of like an ailment? Does it do hunger?
It kill me?
Yeah, does it like which one is it? What does it do? And then I just don't know until I consume it, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have consumed that. Whoops. Like, I would like at least a bit of text to say bottle of milk. So I'm like, okay, well, this is probably like a standard hunger/health item rather than something else. I don't want the game to tell me exactly what it's going to do, plus 2 HP, but at least tell me what it is so I can kind of make that connection myself. But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's grueling. It's art style's great. I'm having a good time with it. only sunk a couple of hours into it probably, but yeah, those have been the games I've been playing this week. Yeah.
It's a bit too hard, honestly. It's still good. Like, you can see why it kind of has this cult following, because there's nothing else like it, and it has a unique spin on kind of the roguelite. And there's some of the things you run into are just like really, really cool. But it's like you will spend like missions and missions getting up your characters, and then they'll just like go into a door, step in a bear trap, and get their heads bitten off by a crocodile, and it's like a demon crocodile, and it's like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. And then your whole team's dead because they're a player down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're all like freaked the fuck out. They're like traumatized because they just watched it happen.
Yeah, it's pretty savage. I mean, I think you can leave at any point, like the mission, but then, like you said, you
have to get to the end of a hallway or something, don't you?
Oh, okay. Do you? All right. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Makes more sense. But yeah,
and sometimes they recommend that you don't do that because, like you just get a bit of morale back before you leave. Otherwise, if you leave and everyone's stressed, they like need 5 days in the church or something. So sometimes it depends. But they're really cool systems. But it's just so difficult.
Yeah, it's like like you said. Yeah, it's really cool systems. But I do feel like it's very much leaning over that like too difficult sort of line to most other games that like enter that genre. Like I feel like it's just that little bit more hardcore to the point where it might not be as enjoyable as other roguelites to a lot of people. But yeah, I'm excited to give it more of a go and to see what it entails for me.
Yeah, cool. That's a good one. I, on the other hand, have been playing. Well, still been playing Hi-Fi Rush. I'm playing it on the secret 4th difficulty you unlock when you complete the game, Rhythm Master. It's like hard, but if you fall below a C rating, you just die. So you can't let it fall below that at all, or you
really?
just die. And I'm going through to try and get some higher scores on levels, do that difficulty, and also there's like, you've probably seen them, like the doors. There's like doors with a number on them.
Yes.
And there's like some fire bits that you can get to now that you have Corsica on the second playthrough. And they're like challenge rooms, and they're pretty cool. Like, I had a pretty tough one. I've only done 2 so far. I don't know how. I think there's maybe 1 every level, so it's maybe 12 total. And like the one I just did was you can only do damage to people in the 12 beats after a parry. So for like every enemy, they were just invincible, but you had to wait for a parry and then try and figure out which combo is going to like get you the most damage in the next 12 beats.
Okay.
It was tough. So especially with some of the bigger ones who don't get staggered by your hits, so you had to like try and get damage in, and then they'll attack again, and then you have to remember to try and not dodge it but parry it to open up another 12 beats. So it was hard. I did it eventually, but it took me like a good half an hour of like trying to get it right.
God, sounds too much. It doesn't sound fun to me, that.
It was fun, but it was tough. So yeah, there's that. And then I'm playing Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition on console.
Let's go.
Which has been a lovely treat. Yeah, it fucking came out on PC in 2019 or whenever it was, and I've been whinging ever since that these games need to come to Xbox. And they've done it. Like, they did it. Like, for sure, it plays great on console. I think that was a big concern for a lot of people, but for the most part, it plays great. Don't get me wrong. There are some times here or there where you can really feel that you're not using a cursor. Like, the game has like magnetism on to help you snap into certain places. And sometimes you're like, fucking go there. And they're like, but you can turn that down in the settings, like magnetism and things like that. So, there are options. But for the most part, like, some parts of the game are even overhauled. Like, chat will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you can automate your villagers to do stuff rather than just like send them off like manually. Like, you can just you open a wheel and you're like, you're going to focus on food and wood, or you're going to be balanced between gold, stone, food, and wood, or now you're going to focus mostly on gold. So you can just kind of choose how you want them to do it rather than having to like scroll and click around. And they've done a really good job for the most part, like translating it over to the console. I'm really impressed for the most part. There's like a full voice tutorial, which we were laughing about, because it's like, when did you get a voice tutorial?
Yeah, it's proper old school.
Yeah, it was so funny. They're like, and you go to that wall and you hold RT and then you click it and your villagers will do it. I was like, yeah, thanks, man. I really needed that because
I can't read.
it's complex when you first start. Yeah. But no, it's good. Like I legitimately, I unironically think it's a good looking game, even though it's a remaster. I just think it's quite pretty. I don't know. The art style's just doing something for me.
Okay.
There's like 30 civilizations or something, and they've all got like unique bonuses. Like some are like focused on infantry, some are like really good at cavalry. Each of them have like a unique unit or unique upgrade. So there's always like a unique flair. They make different noises. All of the buildings look different. So there's always a unique flair, who you're playing. So like, we're at the stage where we're now looking and, having a look at what ones we might like to play and like how do they synergize with, how do you synergize together? And you can play up to 8 people, which is also really fun. You can play 4v4, like versus AI. You can play online in a 4v4 environment, or you can just go a bit mad. You can have up to 4 teams on a single map. So you could have you could do like 3 versus 3 and then have 2 people who are just wild cards, on a third team on like a big map. And then, there's something ridiculous, like 50 different map biomes, loads of different game modes. So it's just chock full of stuff, man. They've done a really good job. Multiplayer works great. There's like co-op campaigns as well, which is really fun. Unfortunately, it's only max 2 players, which is a bit of a shame, where they put you in sort of different scenarios and you got to go through them. And they're surprisingly good as well. Again, it's just full of stuff. Co-op campaigns, single player campaigns, chock full of stuff.
So I had a question. You've been playing it with multiple of our friends. I think like 3 of you total, I think, or maybe even 4 at one point. So that's not, you're not playing like the same army. You're all sort of playing against each other for like who wins, build up the army, kill each other, sort of thing. Is that what you're doing?
No, we're usually we're playing together against AI.
So you're splitting 2 and 2. So you're like queuing and doing a co-op campaign, but you're just in a party together. You're not actually 4 people in the same game.
No. So we weren't doing co-op campaigns. There's just like, you can just go into like custom games, which is essentially what we were doing. We were just hosting a game, all getting into the same lobby, and then we were just doing like, for example, 4v4. Like we were all together against 4 AI.
Oh, okay, I see. And you all play separate armies, do you?
Yeah, you all play separate armies. I think you can change it so you all share it, but you can all pick. Yeah, you can all pick different civilizations, which we usually do. Cool. And like I said, there's so many with different bonuses and stuff. Like there's some like the Britons are like a gunpowder and siege civilization. Britain. So so like you get people with guns, but guns are kind of late game. There's like other civilizations. Like I was playing Goths the other day. Yeah, Goths. Don't ask me what had like the historical context. I don't know. And they're like, they've got like a good rush build because you start with like your farmers get food quicker. You're a good good cavalry units, so they move around the map quicker. So you can like harass people really early. Just things like that. Like the more you play it, the more you kind of more kind of strategy unfolds. So I've always said I've wanted to like play Age of Empires a little bit, and it's been really fun so far. Especially having the multiplayer aspect. That's been fun as well.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm drowning in all of these Xbox first party games. What can I say? I'm still playing Pentiment every now and then. Wow.
Nice, dude. Yeah, it's a lot.
So yeah, that's been that. It's all been good though. Yeah.
You know what I found out today as well? Just a tiny little one before we move on to news.
No, please.
That we get a 10-hour trial for Wild Hearts because it's like an EA game or something with Games Pass. You get a 10-hour free trial. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah. I forgot. Yeah,
I read an article about it,
didn't we?
And people are literally just like, "Yeah, Games Pass subscribers just get to play Wild Hearts for 10 hours before you decide if you actually want to buy it." And I was like, "That's kind of exactly what we need." Perfect.
That is exactly what we need.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be able to download that and play that for 10 hours in game, and then decide if we like it or not, which is quite cool.
It's very cool. Yeah, because I'm a bit on the edge about that game.
Yeah, me too. Totally.
I'm not liking what I'm seeing, to be honest with you.
I kind of am, and I'm kind of not. It's a weird mix. Like I'm totally with you. I'm on a knife's edge about that game, but like I feel like at best it could be fun, but also kind of janky. I don't think it's just going to be like, wow, this is a great game. I think it's going to come with its with negatives as well, and some pills we're going to have to swallow, for sure.
Well, this is definitely the difficult thing, isn't it? Because we're getting to like this kind of stage where the Monster Hunter clone is. People are trying. Publishers are trying. Publishers have realized, oh, people like this. This is like, a good formula. And that's going to come with growing pains because Monster Hunter has taken like 20 years to refine what it is, really. But it'll be nice to see some new things get added to the genre. But at the same time, I think a lot of publishers and developers are going to fuck up the basics.
Yes.
So we'll have to see, like, because, just off the top of my head, Wild Hearts is happening. The PlayStation are doing their Horizon, what am I trying to say? The Horizon multiplayer game.
Oh yes, yeah.
And that's looking like a 4-player Monster Hunter sort of game. Which, by the way, that's going to be sick. That's going to be so good.
Cool.
There's some gameplay leaked the other week. They changed the art style a bit, which is a bit weird. Like it's a bit more cartoony, like a bit more Fortnite-y, which was a bit of an interesting choice. But anyway, it's gonna, if the combat is the same. And they've got the same sort of like progression elements with like breaking parts off. Like that's just there's a match made in heaven if they nail that. And then Certain Affinity are supposedly making a Monster Hunter like game, Project Suerte for Xbox. So we'll see. But it's clearly an interest that publishers have got interest in.
Yeah, I just think there's too much going on in Wild Hearts. It looks very chaotic, and it looks maybe like it could be too fast paced. I think Monster Hunter has that perfect blend of it being like slow and fast, like depending on what weapon type you want. You get to make that choice as well. Wild Hearts just seems like it could just be a bit too chaotic and a bit too cluttered and a bit too like they're trying too much weird, wacky shit here. Like from what I can see. I'm
definitely confused about the tone a bit because they have like those weird little shapeshift, like the whole thing in the game, isn't it? The novelty is like the shape-shifting cube things you've got, and you can like build structures with it. And I'm like, what? It's kind of weird. Like they like throw it down, it like builds a tower, and then they like jump off it, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly. It's just
what?
It's just really weird. But like that could if they do it right, like that shit could be so cool. You could like build a tower, leave on a monster. You could like mount it like Dragon's Dogma style and shit like that. Like if they do it well, it could be really fucking cool. But odds are it's just a load of weird ideas mashed together that probably all kind of work but don't, and it ends up just being kind of average. Like, that's my prediction. But anyway, moving on.
We'll see. But it's a good shout. Anybody out there? 10-hour free demo for Wild Hearts if you're interested, if you're a Monster Hunter fan or you're interested in the genre. Oh, that obviously Dauntless. That was the other sort of attempt, wasn't it? And I think Dauntless has done all right. It's got like a hardcore following.
It's still going.
So it's still going. So yeah. Let's just quickly share. I can see David's put a few things in the chat, so I just wanted to say, like being able to switch between different characters in Hi-Fi Rush because each character plays differently. I give it a 10 out of 10 for gameplay, graphics, polished frame rate, great story, fast loading. Yeah, for sure. Actually, that's really fair. Like because it plays, it's very smooth across the board. And those cutscenes never get old, man.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah,
they're so good. Yeah. Actually, do you know what I wanted to ask you? Because I tweeted about this. Like, I've seen a lot of because, like, a lot of the Xbox community is really like, energized by this release. The 90+ open critic game. Everybody said that at the beginning of 23, we weren't sure how it's going to pan out, but it's a really good start. So, but a lot of people are now being like, especially seeing Last of Us come out. They should make a Hi-Fi Rush TV show. And I'm kind of like, we don't need to say this about like everything that Xbox does, because I really feel like, what do I say are my favorite types of games? Go on, Tim. This is a friend question. What do I say are my favorite types of games? What do I say?
Co-op games.
No, it's deeper than that.
I don't know. Am I supposed to know this?
You do.
Your favorite types of games?
Yes.
Oh, they're like
types of games that I think are the best types of games.
You like different games. Like ones that sort of push the boundaries of media. No, games that can only
Okay.
be games.
There we
That's
go.
it.
See, he knew that. He did know. There we go.
go.
There we go. Yes, games that only work properly as games. You know, I always point to things like Outer Wilds, Nier Automata, Immortality, Hellblade. List goes on. And I just kind of feel like
Hellblade could be a movie or a TV show. Let's be real. But yeah,
you could, because we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. You could, but I feel like it kind of misses the point. It misses the point. That's the problem. Like it loses its soul. You know, if you just like make someone be Senua, like the point is that you're experiencing psychosis with Senua.
Yeah.
You know, you've got this directional audio, and it's like the game's fucking with you on purpose. You know, so you kind of you miss that. And I feel like Hi-Fi Rush is the same. Like it works because it all comes together as this kind of goofy rhythm world, you know, and it's like Chai, the world isn't bopping. Chai has an iPod surgically slammed into his chest, so he perceives everything as bopping.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're playing. So you're seeing it through his eyes. And that's why it works as a rhythm game, and everything, and enemies attack on rhythm and enemies move on rhythm. And I don't know. Did you see what I'm saying? I just feel like yes, you could. Of course you could, making something about Vandelay and Chart, whatever. But it misses the point, I think. So I don't agree with a lot of the community here that we just need to make a show because it's a well-received game. No, let it be a game. If it wants to be a franchise, like, yeah, big thumbs up. Like, make another one for sure. But I don't think we need a TV
plus
show
it can just kind of burn out the whole idea and the whole premise like a lot quicker. Like, if you're just like, oh, it's a game, it did well, it's a TV show, okay, we're gonna do more games, we're gonna do another movie. It's just like, no, can we just have a game like once every like couple years or something and just improve on it? Let's not burn out here. You know, let's not milk the cash cow too hard, guys.
Well, absolutely. I mean, obviously, and that's, you know, we're speaking from experience. Remember, as Xbots, you know, fellow Xbots, you know, we've had Forza Halo Gears rammed down our throat, you know, all of the Xbox One generation, you know, barring a few outliers. And I can see, you know, Sony's kind of leaning in that direction now a bit as well, aren't they? You know, it's like, here's here's Last of Us, here's Last of Us 2, here's Last of Us 1 remade, here's Last of Us 1 remake, different. Yeah. Here's the director's edition, here's the TV show, you know, here's factions, and it's like, oh, this IP is
getting milked.
Seeing it kind of, you know, and it's just kind of how it goes. But, you know, we'll see. Different strokes. Cool. Was I on a tangent then? Were we on a topic, or did I just bring that up out of nowhere?
I can't remember. You were talking. No, yeah, you were talking. You were reading David's comments.
Oh yeah.
You just went.
And then I said about the
just went off on one.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, that's fine.
David, can you not refer to them as ponies in the chat, please?
I mean, he's got a point. I mean, you know, we're with you, but you know,
I was kidding. You can write whatever you want. It's just funny the fact that you wrote ponies.
So we've got a lot of honorable mentions today. Because there was a lot of silly things that happened this week, and the first one's not even related to video games, but I couldn't not bring it up, Tim. I couldn't not, because it's kind of like this really weird phenomenon that happened where Mr. Beast cured 1,000 people's blindness.
I'm convinced this man could be God. What do you mean?
I mean, he might be. He might actually be the second coming. Like, couldn't he?
Right. I mean, how did he do this?
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. He just paid for the surgeries. 1,000 people who like had partial or full blindness.
Oh, wow.
Scooped their eyeballs out and fucking did the work on their optic nerve, you know, sort it out.
Oh, Jesus, man. I mean, I wonder how much that set him back. What a nice guy.
Probably. So this is, and this is like a very normal reaction. You know, I'd say, well done, congratulations, you've passed the dickhead test. A lot of people are like, can't stand seeing like kindness online. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people are like, oh, it's fake, he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it. And it's like, I don't think it fucking matters if he means it.
He's still done
1,000 people can see now.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just find it really interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. At the end of the day, he's still, whether it was for his own self gain or views or money or whatever, or maybe he made money back. I doubt he made money back on this, by the way. Um, the fact is, he still did that. He still changed 1,000 people's lives. It's like whether that's through selfish needs or not, they don't care. They get to live the rest of their lives seeing, and they don't have to see him ever again. Get it?
Hey.
So, like, yeah,
Yeah.
who cares at the end of the day?
I don't know. I just think it's like some people are like really terminally online and they've just like lost their humanity. You know what I mean? It's like they play. It's like Dark Souls. You know,
They
like
squeeze
they've been on like one too many. Yeah, they do. By pop it, and then because you know we start getting into territory of like the selfless good deeds exist. Like, can you just be nice without like having some sort of personal gain? And like if you really want to get into the weeds of it, the answer is probably no. Like
No.
if I'm being nice to someone, like yes, it probably makes me feel good. You know,
Yeah.
do I
get
do it
off
for
on
that reason? I mean, it's up for you to decide, I guess. But I don't know, man. I just think it's and I always bring this back to the example of Overwatch. It's really weird. I don't know. This is just always comes to me as an example for this sort of thing with like kindness. Maybe not. Yeah, I guess kindness and like you know, cynical views of other people's kindness. And it was like Overwatch introduced that like appraisal system that, you know, it's kind of been a bit sterilized and neutered now. But back in the day, you could what was it? You could say if someone you could like endorse them like you can now, but you could have like different categories, couldn't you? You could have like good leader, good communicator, good team player, things like that.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of the community, and like I think if you got a couple, you'd get like a loot box or something. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of the community like quite annoyed because they were like, "Oh, they're not really being nice to me. They're not really saying I'm a good team player." And it's like,
Okay.
what do you want? It's like they don't mean it. They don't mean they're just doing it for the loot box.
Well, yeah.
It's the same principle. It's like you see. Is it easier to believe that everyone is always lying to your face, and that there are a few outliers that are nice, or is it easier to believe that people are usually being genuine,
Yeah.
and then there are a couple of outliers acting in bad faith? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do know what you mean. Yeah, I mean it's similar in Overwatch 2 as well, right? Where you can like updo people, right? And it gives you a little bit of XP when you do it, and I think it gives them a little bit too. I don't know, it's like extra. But like I don't just do it. I don't just click right stick and press A just because I just want to cash that shit in. Like genuinely, like I choose the person who I thought actually did it right out of the two, and if I feel like it was undeserved, then it's undeserved. So I don't know if I'm in the minority there, but I do agree that I think a lot of
No, I don't think you are.
I do think a lot of gamers will literally they'll just click right stick and spam A and just updo whoever just for the sake of it if it has some self gain, like totally. But yeah, I think generally speaking, I think a lot of people will think about the process even if it's just for a couple seconds, and do it relatively honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. So just the whole thing. I can't because people get like pissy about anyone doing anything nice that's on the internet. You know, it's like, why were you recording this? Like, if it's just like a bystander recording someone, like giving a homeless person a sandwich, they're like, wow, what a piece of shit! Can't believe they'd do that. It's like, who's getting more out of this? The homeless man with a sandwich, or what? The bystander filming someone get? Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, if you really cared, you would have
off.
done this without fucking recording. It's like, well, what? I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't make a difference, does it?
Yeah.
Like,
the end result is that man still gets a sandwich. I don't.
Yeah, like I guess that you could point to like some edge cases where maybe it makes it a bit bitter. You know, like if Mr. Beast made a video in like 2 weeks' time where he visited all of the 1,000 people he cured, and he was like, you know, jammed the microphone in their mouth and was like, "So how was this experience? You know,
you enjoying seeing?
Tell me about how good I am."
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Tell me I'm God.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't help but not bring it up. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So actual video games, Tim. The fucking the gassening has happened this week. So many games were announced to be shut down.
Oh yeah, I know.
Gassening obviously being games as a service, just to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some surprises here and some expected. And I think I've missed some as well. But these are like the high profile ones. Knockout City, Rumbleverse being shut down the next few months. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
I mean, we never even played Rumbleverse, but I think it
Well, I
took
did
off
boot
for
it
like a
up, but
day or two.
I know people liked it.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
people liked it.
yeah. But then I also know that I think people always liked it at surface level. I don't think it really had anyone actually staying around that long. I think people booted it up and played it for a bit, but I don't know if it was like a depth thing or like a gameplay mechanic thing or an unbalanced thing. I don't know, but I don't think people did hang around on it. But Knockout City is definitely that's sad. That game was genuinely a banger, and we put a fair amount of hours into that game, and I feel like it deserved more of our hours as well. We were playing it alongside like other stuff at the time. So that one's sad. I mean, they're both sad. They're both great games and pieces of art and stuff like that. But like, I can't really speak on the Rumbleverse side because I never really played it.
Yeah,
but, yeah,
definitely. And it's just it's especially sad because Knockout City was so novel. Like it genuinely, it was genuinely very good. It had all the things you'd expect. I think one of the things that maybe hurt it is that it was like a paid game. Do you remember? Like you could play it for free for like the first month or something, but it was a £30 game.
Yeah,
like I think that did hurt it, like the pricing. But at the same time, if they needed to do that to have less monetization, what's the best for long-term staying power? I don't know
it's
if that,
definitely a
that
game where
actually made any impact.
It could have survived longer and potentially even still now, if it did go free to play and if it did adopt like a battle pass sort of model and a that sort of thing. Games as a service. Yeah, I definitely think it
did have battle passes.
Yeah, but only battle passes. No entry fee. No £30 entry fee.
Oh, I see. I'm with you.
Just dive into that microtransaction games as a service sort of scenario. I think it could have done a bit better, and then maybe scale back the team or something. But yeah, it's sad. Yeah, it is sad. It's a good game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's really rough, and I guess this is the third one here, which I genuinely feel a bit of sorrow for, is Back for Blood. Turtle Rocket ending development of Back for Blood to move on to a new game, and that team just cannot keep a player base. I don't know what it is, and it ties into what I was going to say next about like staying power. It really goes to show how staying power is the most important thing here. Like, not like arguably it's not really the quality of the game. I mean, of course there is an overlap there. The two things are connected, but if you can keep people on the game, it keeps it alive for longer. Like a lot of these games are good quality. Okay, they might not be revolutionary, but they're good. They're good enough that they deserve. But I guess it's so saturated, isn't it? That it's just like as soon as you lose, like, that if you think about it, like 70% of players playing like service games are probably playing one of 5 games: Apex, COD, Fortnite, FIFA. I don't know, Siege, Destiny. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, League, maybe. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And it's like, I don't know. I feel bad, but at the same time, it's like, man, maybe you guys should just start thinking about making games that like not trying to compete in this. In this area,
and yeah, as much as I liked Back for Blood and it did do some unique stuff, I do think it was stuck in the past a little bit. I think people are always shouting that they want another Left 4 Dead game, and Left 4 Dead's great, and Left 4 Dead is amazing, and Left 4 Dead was great.
Yeah,
but I think when push comes to shove, they gave us Left 4 Dead with a bit of a spin on it. Some additional stuff to try and keep like an end game grind and stuff like that. And I don't think it's actually what people wanted at the end of the day. Like, I think nostalgia carries like Left 4 Dead games quite a bit. I do think they are quite outdated. they were fun back then, but I can't see myself hopping on and playing for a long period of time that style of game, um, like anymore at least. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you. There's definitely like a contingent of I think gamers maybe our age, maybe a little bit older, who are like stuck in 2006 and just
yeah,
refuse to come out of that shell. And then they'll ask for like games like this, and they'll come out and they'll be good, but then they'll be like really like heavily scrutinized by
yeah,
that same player base. Like, oh, I wish it was like that. It should be more like that. And it's like Back for Blood feels much better than Left 4 Dead.
yeah,
Fact. It looks a lot better than Left 4 Dead. Fact. It's way deeper. Like, okay, maybe the level design isn't as good. Maybe, I mean, you could argue the enemy variety maybe hasn't evolved much. But like for the most part, like this is what people ask for, and I think you're absolutely right. I think people ask for these things, but don't really like. You have it. Go and play it.
yeah,
go and play it on backwards compatibility or something.
yeah, exactly. It's very weird. Yeah, people always ask for this sort of stuff, and when they get it, it's not quite what they wanted. But it's not because of them. It's because the developers did something wrong, or the game just didn't do it as they wanted. But in reality, I genuinely think it's them just not actually wanting the game as much as they did. It's just nostalgia.
Did, yeah.
And when push comes to shove, they actually figure out, you know, don't actually want this, So like, because back Blood was a good game. I had a great time with it. And it's a shame to see another, like you said, Turtle Rock game go down. Because same thing happened with Evolve in my eyes as well. Like I liked Evolve. I feel like it had a niche. I feel like it did it well. But in all fairness, that was kind of their fault as well. Like they did release the game with a very minimal amount of content and then charge so much to add more like hunters and more monsters and stuff like that. So like they did kind of dig their own grave by selling you a full price game that really didn't have much in it and then just keep charging you for extra. And then by the time they went free to play, it was too late. But yeah, I again, Evolve was actually a pretty good game, quite janky in some ways, but generally a very well made game. But I think that in that case, I think they butchered it themselves. In all honesty, so it doesn't really apply. But
yeah, I mean that's fair. It's just, I guess, it sucks for them because they're kind of, I guess there are a couple more smaller ones now, like the makers of Deep Rock Galactic, Coffee Stain Studios, I think, maybe Ghost Ship Games, one of them, can't remember. They're the only ones doing like these 4v1, this type of game mode where it's like a cooperative Left 4 Dead experience
Horde.
or this kind of asymmetric Evolve like experience. Yeah, like they have that, they occupy that niche, and generally they do a good job, but they haven't had a hit since Left 4 Dead, really. They haven't had a hit that's like survived. I mean, I hope they find that formula because I think there is space for it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if these co-op games have the legs that they used to compared to the competition now. If you look at something like Destiny, there's so many hooks to keep people coming back and playing. Whereas something like a 4v1 or a Horde type game, it's like, Back for Blood, it's like, oh, you get a card every now and then.
Yeah. Most games that adopt this formula and try have always been kind of mediocre. It was the same with Aliens Fireteam Elite. Like that game did a lot right, but it never quite hit. It never quite like hooked you and kept you. Like it was a very similar sort of time scale to Back for Blood. Like you probably, if you were to compare the two, it's probably like they first came out, people loved it, and then their drop off rate was probably so similar. It's like these games just don't have the legs to continue on. Yeah, they definitely need to adapt it somehow. But yeah, there's definitely a space for it, but we just haven't quite hit it yet. It's still too old school. Yeah.
No doubt. So not quite in the shutting down realm, But in the sort of cancellation realm, actually, I think we could probably tie in a couple of stories here. Well, let's do that. Is that Respawn, Tim, have allegedly quietly cancelled a single player game in the Titanfall / Apex universe. I don't know if you saw this. I think this came from Jeff Grubb. Wow, that sucks. I mean, like obviously everyone is outraged by this because everybody loves Titanfall 2's campaign.
Yeah.
I think I heard somewhere that it's supposed to like played as Blisk, and like Titans, like the idea was that Titans weren't as popular, or like they'd ended their manufacture, like in the time that you played presumably it was like a prequel to Titanfall 2. It must have been, or they weren't as readily available,
They're
maybe I
not
should
common.
say.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on that, because I like this. It's a guaranteed hit, man. It's a guaranteed hit. Respawn would nail it, and it would sell. I mean, I guess. Oh, this is the thing, man. Like, Titanfall 2 didn't sell well, really, did it? It like died, and EA were like, "Oh, that sucks." But if you remember, they released it between Battlefield 1, I think, and COD, like maybe Infinite Warfare or something. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? And then they acquired Apex. There's like a bit of they acquired Respawn, and there's like a conspiracy that they strategically did that so that Respawn stocks would plummet, and they got a cheap acquisition of the studio.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, that's a real deep dive there.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously this is really sad. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Titanfall 2 campaign as well. I thought it was absolutely excellent. Everything Respawn touch at the moment seems to turn to gold. So if you sort of give them something like this, they would do a fantastic job with it. Whether or not they keep it, yeah, I mean, if it was Blisk, I guess it would. Yeah, it'd be more sort of Apexy sort of timeline, maybe, or Apexy style. I don't know if they keep those sort of similar graphic style they've got going on. But yeah, no, it would have been awesome. And it's a shame to see it get canned. But then like maybe it's so they can pour more resources into the bigger stuff, the Star Wars and stuff like that. Even though I can see an honorable mention there for Star Wars, which isn't looking too hot, but but yeah, maybe that's the reason it was canned. So you good over there, buddy? Oh,
hi. Yeah, you froze for me.
Yeah, you froze.
If it was me or you.
Yeah, I think Discord went a bit funny. We're back. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine that was the shooter team. I mean, I'm sure they do share some resources. I mean, I guess I don't know, but yeah, you might be right. It just seems like such a waste to not have them doing something. And like you said that about Respawn and like everything they're making, but I mean, they just shut down Apex Mobile. I don't know if you saw that this week. It's not in the notes, but it just came to mind. Apex Mobile is just shut down, gone.
Yeah, but I do think that was like, I don't know, man. I don't really. It's kind of like a port. They're putting it on phone. They're just trying to put it on as many platforms as possible. That shit's probably being pushed by EA so hard to do that sort of thing. I don't think it's like that was like an original idea of Respawn, or like
Maybe, but COD Mobile is huge though. Like it had every reason to succeed.
I know.
Like.
And yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, that's an L for Respawn, but like, I don't know. I don't see it as much. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like as we say, then as we move away from Respawn, yeah, there's a very small delay on Star Wars. No big deal. I mean, I think the first one got delayed. No, the first one came out a bit buggy. I don't think I got many bugs in my playthrough, but it was one of the criticisms of the game at the time that it was like a little bit buggy. So great if it needs that extra time. It doesn't seem like much, so we'll see. But also they're probably happy to move it out of February, which is very, very busy. So.
Yeah, for sure. Wait, what was this you talking about?
Star Wars Survivor.
Yeah, the Star Wars delay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can get a lot done in 6 weeks, especially if it's solely just like QA and wrapping up bugs and fine tuning stuff. You can get a lot done in that sort of time frame. And yeah, I think you're right. I think having it around that sort of time is just giving it a bit more of its own spotlight as well. So yeah, if it's
Yeah.
needed, it's needed. I've always said that. Release a game when it's ready. 100%.
I think you're the first person who said that. I think actually, I think that's a direct Tim quote.
What?
Tim at Quick Resume Podcast, release a game when it's ready. I think that's an original idea that we've had on this channel. I don't think it's ever been said before.
It's true. Are you mocking me?
No, I'm not mocking you. No, I'm just saying I think we're on to something. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
So last honourable mention. We probably this probably can be a main story. So we'll pretend that this is moving into the main story topics. And it's around Redfall, Tim. Oh, Redfall! Everybody hates
God,
Redfall.
yeah,
Guess
I've
what?
heard about
It's always
this.
online. Guess what? It's always online. Will somebody think of the military and the submarines? Will people think of the people in the space stations, please? Why are we not thinking of them? I'm sure they'd love to play Redfall. Tell me, why aren't we thinking of them, Tim?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What are Arcane thinking?
I mean,
flop
people
guaranteed.
Yeah, people might think it's a bit niche, but there's a lot of space gamers out there. At least a couple million.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of basement gamers. That's true, but they all have Ethernets down there anyway, so you can't fool me.
Yeah. I mean, we joke, but it is a negative, right? People do hate this.
I know people hate it, but I never understand. I don't think it's a good reason for such outrage.
No. Yeah, it comes with its annoyances and the fact that, yeah, like, it's nice to play a single player game or to have the option to play a single player, like if your internet's down or you're somewhere else, you've got your Series X, you've taken it somewhere on holiday, you just want to play some single player shit, you don't have like an internet connection or whatever. Or if you just disconnect during a game session, this shit's going to boot you back to the main menu, and that is kind of annoying and a bit shitty. I don't think it deserves the outrage it's getting. I mean, I've read some stuff on this, and people are literally boycotting the game, and news articles are just like, "Don't buy Redfall. It's always online. They fucked up," and it's just like, oh, I don't know if it's this bad, guys, but it is annoying. I do see it as a negative, and it's also just like, why as well. Like, also, like, why? Like, why always be online?
Yeah,
I do agree
isn't
with
it?
people to an extent.
I think. I suppose it. You're right. I think. Yeah. I'm taking the piss, but like, yes, it does. I understand that for some people, this is going to be difficult. And it does depend. Yeah. Why? Like, if the DRM is just there to harvest data, like that's fucking stupid. Like that's ridiculous. Like. And some games do that. They just do that because they're there to harvest data, and they're like, "Oh, look at all these hotspots. We can use this for later." But it also doesn't bode well. It's not a good look for a game that they're trying to tout as something that you can play as single player and co-op. And there's definitely a big contingent out there that are maybe like semi-interested in Redfall, but only playing single player because they don't have any friends. I'm joking, by the way. So to see that, I think it gets people really on edge. It puts people on edge. They're like, well, can I really play this single player, or is this properly designed to be co-op and it's going to be a bad experience in single player? Do you know what I mean? That I think that's kind of what it's kind of reinforcing that set of beliefs.
Yeah, it shows a lack of confidence in their game being single player only. It's kind of it makes you think that they're like, you could do it if you want, but you're online anyway, so why not throw in a couple friends? Like it's better this way. It shows that the game clearly wasn't. I mean, and it shouldn't be built around single player first. A game like this, I agree with it with that. So if people are mad and they're just like, oh, it's always online, so it was built around multiplayer first, and then single players come as like a second thing, like you can do it. It's just like, well, yeah. It's exactly what's happened. They're not going to build it around single player and then throw in more options for co-op. but yeah, I do agree. It shows like a lack of confidence, a lack in the think that they think their game can be played single player well. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I beyond that, I suppose the other element is like, maybe like again, it comes back to the reason. Maybe there's a mechanic in here that we don't know yet. Like, and I understand they want this game to be like drop in and drop out, but I don't see that as a good reason for like, well, why can't we just like single player? You know, like can someone not just like tick the offline box and then just play single player and now they don't have drop in drop out? Like, I don't know. Maybe they have matchmaking systems, but maybe there's like a mechanic. If I'm being really generous with it, maybe there's part of the game that we don't fully understand yet that does require that. Maybe you can invade as a vampire.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you go. Just like Deathloop, right? Maybe they've looked over at Arcane Leon and been like, wow, that Juliana thing was kind of fun. Can I do that but for a vampire?
All those games still give the user the option to play offline. You can flick that off. You can toggle it off, and it's not an online only game. This is online only without choice. You can turn that off in Deathloop and play it without an internet connection. You can turn it off in Dark Souls and play it without an internet connection.
It's just an example, it depends how baked into the game it is,
True.
And if it's not baked into the fundamentals, like I can only assume that it's there to harvest data. Yes. And I can see why that would be upsetting. I ultimately just don't think it really affects the people who are getting outraged.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's just another thing to hate Redfall about. Redfall seems to be a big fucking punching bag, and I don't know why. I will agree with this, and I'm not coming off as a fucking Xbot or whatever. Like, from the very moment this game was announced, people have just really thrown hate at it, and I don't know why, because Arcane have done nothing but make everyone fantastic games, and I feel like it's really unfair that the amount of hate it's received right from its reveal.
I can think of a reason.
What?
I can think of a reason. Yeah, it might be because they're making this game exclusively for the Xbox. Now that they're owned by Xbox.
Yeah,
paying the Xbox tax, Tim. They're paying the Xbox media tax.
It's true. That is true. And the media does hate Xbox. But yeah, so yes, it's a negative. I'm not gonna say it's not, but I don't think it deserves the boycott news that it's getting in the media right now. Everyone needs to just wind their necks in a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, for real, if you're somebody who lives in a submarine or you live like, out in the middle of nowhere and you planned on buying Redfall, but now you can't, I'd like to hear from you, because that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people who are terminally online, like always making like YouTube content or whatever, being like, "Oh man, this is just a load. I can't believe this." That's like
it's just something.
It feels a little bit performative sometimes. Yeah. I don't know, but we've covered all bases here. We understand it. But I never have that much of a problem with games doing this, especially if there is kind of a reason behind it. So.
Yeah,
we'll see. Okay, what else was I going to? Oh, that's the other thing I was going to tie into. So the other thing, while we were talking about things shutting down. Sorry, I missed a good segue there, but we're still in a good range to be able to bring this up, Tim. And this is going to break your heart because it broke my heart. Apparently, Coalition are no longer making their new IP. They're smaller. AAA IP that they were making to get used to Unreal Engine 5. The game that we've been talking about for 2 years. Hopes and dreams gone. Shattered. Gone.
Yeah.
This came from Jeff Grubb. Supposedly it's because of the Microsoft layoffs. Coalition had to make a call because they lost some staff. Maybe some staff were working on that and they just thought it might be cool, but it's not going to generate that much interest, in the same way that maybe Pentiment or Grounded did. Those spin-off teams are Obsidian. Good games, got some good critical interest, but ultimately they're not very commercially viable. So they've just dropped it now, and everybody's fully focusing on Gears 6. And I've put my sad little emoji in the notes.
Yeah, it's a sad time. To think that we could have seen something come out from Coalition that wasn't Gears, and then that just gets ripped out from under our feet. And the poor guys over there were probably the team were probably so excited to work on something that wasn't Gears. And no, get back in your corner. Get back in your fucking Gears corner. Yeah, get back on gruffing up Marcus Phoenix's beard. That's your job. Yeah, it sucks because we've always said this. They're a really talented team and they do Gears fantastically, but it would be nice to see them just try something else, like failure.
I've just got franchise fatigue.
Just give them the chance. It's really sad to see. Yeah, it's almost like, it's not just like an L, the fact that we're missing a game or whatever. It's like an L on like creativity, right? It's just like it's just a fat L on just anyone trying to do something different, and it backfires. It's not nice for just like the industry in general.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a direct result of these layoffs as well, which we moaned about last week. Like the whole thing with some of these execs over at Microsoft, they're like literally making like 500 million a year. Do you know what I mean? And then they're laying off people who they're paying like 50K a year. Just things like that. Whatever. Corporate cards are corporate cards. They're going to be soulless and cold, but ultimately, this is the results, and this is the results of a bad 2022 as well for Xbox. Like, let's face it. We've spoken about how we think as a Game Pass subscriber, you probably had a decent 2022, but adoption rates across the board, revenue is down. We spoke about these numbers last week, and actually PlayStation had their numbers come up this week, and they're up across the board. Other than PS Plus, which went down a bit, which is funnily enough, the inverse of Xbox, where Game Pass actually went up, but everything else was down. So overall across the board, that year stung. The community's moaned about it, rightfully so, but it clearly hit their bottom line, and here's the result. So it's not. We need to be loud about what we need. For this reason, it's not just about being loud to be annoying. It's about making sure our feedback is heard, so that there's less likely to have shit like this happen. This is a shame. We've been, like I said, we've been talking about this idea of a coalition UIP for like 2 years since we started the podcast, man.
Yeah,
we've been speaking about this, and now it's just gone. It's just gone. That's it. We're never going to see. Well, at least for another 5 years, we're not going to see the coalition working on anything other than Gears, which is just so disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what you can boil it down to. It's just disappointing. It sucks. It's a real negative story, that one. And it's a real shame to see them a potential passion project just get kind of canned. Yeah.
The only positive I can sort of twist out of this, if I'm really sort of twisting the flannel dry, is maybe there's some learnings that have come out of that development which can transfer over to Gears, and maybe this is a good opportunity, because I don't think we've had this conversation in a while, to pivot into what we need for Gears 6. What do we want out of Gears 6 for it to be good? Because we really enjoyed the single player in Gears 5. We played it through co-op, didn't we? And it was really good. I was quite surprised. But I'm not going to be able to do that again. They had to, and Hive Busters was great, but I need it one step further. I liked a lot of the open world elements. I know, did we spoken about that? Did you like some of the open world stuff in that, or did you not really like it, or could you take it or leave it?
No, I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I especially liked the segment where you were driving around in the sand dunes on that thing, and you could hop off and on and go to different places, do little side bits, collectibles, all that sort of stuff. It was really cool doing that bit. That bit especially stood out to me. Whenever I think of Gears, I tend to think of that bit. That's what pops into my brain first. Yeah, the skiff part of the game. In the desert.
Yeah. There's a couple of bits that come to my mind from Gears 5 just while we're on the top, while we're reminiscing. Just because, like I said, I think it was genuinely good. And I don't think it's a bit underrated, honestly. I think the single player for Gears 5, like we had that. There was like the giant bod in the snowy area, and it was like maybe the first or second boss fight. We were on for quite a while because it's quite hard, but I remember it just being quite a fun boss fight. It was like challenging but fair.
Yeah.
He had like a big hammer or some shit, and he would like smack the ice out, and it'd become water, and you'd have to, disrupt the playable space. Gorgeous, game looked gorgeous. Again, like in the open world, I've got a memory of us like going around. It might have been in the icy area, and we went into like a tunnel, and it was dark, and there was a train, and we got to the end. There was like a chest, and there was a bay, and there was like a fucking berserker in there, and we had to. I can't remember if we tried to kill him, or we just got the loot and ran out. But again, memorable stuff. And I also think the final boss fight was really cool. It was something new in the universe. It was like a kraken. It was like a sand kraken.
Yeah, that was cool.
Spoilers, I guess. Yeah, and it was just very cool. It was just and I think Gears needs more of that. It needs more novelty. It's like I can't just be fighting the Locust for the 600th time. Like, please, like I need some new evolutions here. And the gameplay, I think, is maybe the thing that a lot of the community have been speaking about.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to see that evolved for the most part. Like, I can't just be slamming my back against cover and shoot it over the top again. Like, I need some sort of elevation here.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. But I mean, even right now, throughout you talking throughout that entire sentence, I was trying to think of how they could adapt the gameplay while kind of keeping the core, what makes Gears what it is, and I'm struggling to think of a way they can do that.
It's hard.
Yeah, I genuinely am. I was thinking like, maybe like adding like loot based stuff in there, like, but then I just don't think that kind of works.
They did have that a little bit,
like
didn't they? In 5, there were unique weapons that you could get.
Yeah, you could get unique stuff. Yeah, which was there. Yeah, potentially like a first person mode option, like toggle on and off. You can play it in first person if you want.
Wow. That's crazy. I'd never even considered that. That's crazy.
It could be kind of cool sliding into cover and doing all that and seeing it from a first person perspective. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. Really, they just.
I think the Hivebusters thing pushed it forward a little bit because like the characters had like ults essentially, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
That you had like lady with electric knife, man with shield,
yes,
and man with I don't know what the other man, the Irish guy,
like a healing guy or something.
What he did. Yeah, maybe. I think like a class-based system works quite well. Like Horde mode in Gears 5 was bonkers. Like 12 classes.
Yeah.
Decks of cards that modify it. Like I think that suits the game quite well. I don't know how you integrate that into a campaign. And also Jack. Let's not forget about Jack. It's like light RPG elements. You'd find stuff in the open world to upgrade him, and some of those are really cool. There's like flash freeze, like distraction. You can have him pick up ammo for you, couldn't you, and bring it over to you. Like that was a nice addition, but like that needs to go one step further. I think all of that, like integrating all of that. I just can't help but feel like a bit of bullet storminess would be good. Like I like enemy manipulation. Like I don't know. Like
yeah.
I don't know how they integrate that and keep the tone in the right with Gears, but I feel like that could do something, like some sort of thing that allowed you to like, fling locusts into the air or like push them off a cliff or, just something like that.
A bit more as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
That's all, because it's like, I think, because we said the coalition is so good, I hope the Gears 6 doesn't creatively stifle them. I hope they're able to bring it, make something unique about it that's going to draw people in, because it's not like, it's kind of niche now. Like it's a big Xbox title, but nobody really cares about Gears anymore. And like, if they don't, then they need to sunset the series after 6, to be honest. They just need to leave it for a bit and come back to it in like maybe 10 years. Sunset it in the same way that Sony did with Gears of War. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, there's no harm in taking a break, an extended break from this sort of stuff to not fatigue it, and to really just hit the drawing board and come up with something unique and different that will take it in a new direction. Because right now they're literally just relying on the core staying the same and writing a good story. And that can work. You know, it has worked for God of War and God of War Ragnarok, where they've adapted gameplay, but they've kept a very good story, very good performances, and the shit hits real hard. But again, God of War is only on its second installment. How will people feel when it gets to its fifth and sixth? You know, they're gonna have to adapt away from that at some point as well, I do think. Um, so yeah, I completely agree. Either just write like a really good story, really lean into like these characters, emotions, that sort of thing, and really go for that narrative perspective, to really take the player's breath
Hmm.
away
Hmm.
while keeping the core the same, or keep the story, as it is. Because Gear's story is good. It's not absolutely revolutionary. It's good though. It is very good. Um, or lean more into the gameplay side of things and really try and change it up or stuff like that. But in all honesty, I'm happy for them to lean more into a narrative perspective and keep mainline games as they are,
Mm.
lean very heavily into narrative, and then use Gears as an IP for spin-offs like tactics and stuff like that. You know, make more of that away from mainline. Use your creativity in those areas rather than affecting a mainline um numbered series, you know.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I think a lot of people have been calling for something like that. As much as we say we did like kind of the open world elements, I also wouldn't mind if they did tighten it up to something in a bit more of the dark and horror direction. I think there were some darky, horror-y sort of moments in 5 too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, one step further, I think would make a lot of people happy too, including me. I want them to commit to a direction, like
Mm,
something kind of novel. That's what I want, and push it in that direction. So we'll see.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, while we're on the topic of sequels, may as well tidy this up now. As Dusk Falls appears to be getting a season 2 on their job listings, they've got writers and whatnot. They're wanting writers for a second season. It says it in plain text on the website. So season 2 in brackets,
That's cool.
which is really interesting. That's obviously going to be again sort of another Xbox exclusive, I would assume. But the first was received pretty well. I think it's at like a 77 or 78 on OpenCritic at the moment,
Yeah.
which I honestly am quite surprised it's that low. I really am quite shocked that it's that low.
Mm,
Uh, but I know I think what I heard across the board was that the art style was really divisive in the game. But I'm like, I don't know. That feels like a bit of a peculiar. I don't
mm.
know. I don't know. Like, it feels like a bit of a weird thing to dock the game for so badly. I mean, maybe some people just didn't like a lot of the story elements, but they were really solid. Like a lot of the delivery was really good. It's this really wicked, like you can see the whole timeline and the choices, and you can play it co-op. Like that's so novel.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to dock it in that way, but I mean, it does depend. Obviously, everyone has their own preference of style and whether or not it hits for them or whatever. But maybe it wasn't so much
Yeah,
that, or maybe it was so much of just that style didn't tell the story as well as another style possibly could have done. Maybe they thought it just didn't really gel together as well as it could have, and it genuinely like affected the gameplay. So I don't know. I didn't really. I'm one of those people that I haven't really looked too much into the As Dust Falls as like a game I want to play or a game that I actually looked into from a review perspective. It kind of just flew under the radar for me. So, um,
I think it did
but
for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. But it's cool to see it get a season 2, and it's interesting because with the style that they've obviously now got down, it's taken them a while to make the initial game. But now they've got this whole style down and the rhythm down and stuff like that. Maybe they can churn these things out relatively quick, and you can get like season 3s, 4s, and really see this story develop over a relatively short amount of time. You know, you're not having to wait years
Mhm.
and years for a sequel. You know, they can go down the same sort of route as these Telltale games, which is it's quite cool to see, quite exciting to see.
Yeah. I mean, is there do you remember what the game looked like? Like
Yes, yeah, it was kind of told in like
single
a
frames?
yeah, and it was kind of like almost paintbrushy
Yeah.
kind of style, wasn't it? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought it looked great and very unique. But yeah, I don't know
I
how it performed, but
Yeah, I mean, I think because I do think as much as that was a style that they were going for, you know, it's kind of your brain fills in the bits between the frames.
yeah,
But those frames are really highly detailed, and you know they look really good. I also do think that was kind of a budgetary restriction as well. Like I do think a bit
okay,
of that is like, you know, if we try and animate the whole thing, it's going to take years, but we could just do these nice high detailed frames, you know.
hmm
Um, and that will save us a lot of time, you know. So I think it is a bit of both, but maybe in the second season, you know, if they've got like a higher budget this time around because the first was a success, maybe they can like make slight amendments that will, you know, accommodate those people who didn't like
help it flow
the art
better.
style in the first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. It's really cool. My a big recommendation for As Dusk Falls. You know, it'll still be on Game Pass if you like dramas. It's like an 80s drama. You follow different families. Um, you make choices. You know, you can override each other's choices, things like that. You know, you got to decide, and you can play, like I say, but you play co-op as well. So
Yeah,
it's really novel. It's really good.
this was the one you could play up to like 8 people, wasn't it?
8.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. She's pretty
Play it on
pretty
your
cool.
phone. You don't need a controller. You can use a controller if you want. You know, loads of different options. Um, it's definitely not perfect. The story is immaculate, but there's like a couple of things like um, with the controls that are a bit funny every now and then. But overall, this is like an 8 and 8.5 game to me.
Mm,
Probably leaning towards 8.5. I couldn't find that much wrong with it. It was really concise, lots of variety in the decisions you could make and how you know things turned out. You know, down to characters living or dying, you know, things like that. And so yeah, it's a good one to play, you know, with your partner. That goes out to everyone out there. Um, like it's just like playing a good TV show where you make the choices. You know, it's big recommender. So yeah, good to see. Good to see.
nice.
Okay, where shall we go next? Let's go into the Halo stuff. So, Halo stuff. Have you caught wind of the Halo 343 stuff this week?
I kind of have, yes. Not
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
Not great.
So, I mean, it's haunting, really, because the first before the news broke from Bloomberg, you know, Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, there were surveys going out to people from Xbox Research saying, "Are you done playing Halo Infinite? Yes,
Yeah.
no, maybe." You know, and other, you know, so there's a long list, but another one, for example, was I think 343 is just listening and making changes to Halo Infinite based on community feedback, and then there's a 1 to 5 scale. You
Yeah.
know, so they're gathering information on it clearly, and then you know later in the week. We got a report from Jason Schreier saying, quote, Microsoft's 343 Industries will still make Halo games despite rumors to the contrary, but with mass layoffs, at least 95 people, an engine pivot to Unreal, and a focus only on multiplayer for the near future, 343 is hitting the reset button. And then a follow-up tweet came again from Jason Schreier, quote, one of 343's biggest core problems over the last few years has been heavy reliance on contractors who can only stay a maximum of 18 months. During this mass layoff, full-time employees got severance packages, contractors got a few days to pack up and leave. So there's a bit more tucked into this, which we can get into for a bit. But you know, the big, you know, we knew about the layoffs and we knew that it hit 343 particularly hard.
hmm
But one of the big things here is an engine pivot to Unreal. And we spoke about this like maybe 3 or 4 months ago
Mm.
and the possibility of that happening. And like I can't and at the time, you know, it's an L for me because I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But apparently, you know, that is something that's happening, you know, but the reports are still mixed, you know, like with Tatanka, again, you know, Certain Affinities Project, which is the supposed Battle Royale thing. Supposedly that's on Unreal, but there's updates to the Slipspace engine or the Halo Infinite client, which is obviously on Slipspace, only back in December. So it would, there's a bit of conflicting results really. But overall, let's just for the sake of discussion, pretend that everything going forward for Halo now is going to be on Unreal Engine rather than Slipspace. What's kind of your thoughts on that?
God. I don't know. In all honesty, it's really hard to foresee how this change is gonna go. And I don't. So, Spy Rivers engine pivot to Unreal. But what does that mean in terms of Halo Infinite's multiplayer life cycle and stuff like that? Like,
So just new projects that'll be kept as it is.
yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. It's hard to know because you don't know how Halo is going to perform in an Unreal Engine, as opposed to what we got with Halo Infinite. And what we got with Halo Infinite generally was quite good. I don't think the engine was the issue or anything like that. Obviously the engine was the issue from the developer perspective. Obviously it was obviously hard to run, maintain, and work on. That's obviously why they've switched to a more mainstream Unreal Engine, where you can easily hire for it and permanent hire for it, not contractors and stuff like that. So that is pretty clear. But generally, from a gameplay perspective, the Slipspace engine was never really a problem. It actually performed pretty well, as the package it came out as. It just makes sense for the longevity of the game, I guess. And I think Halo could do wonderfully in Unreal. I don't think it's just like, oh, it's not in Slipspace anymore, it's dead. It's just like, no, I don't think that's going to happen at all. So I think it's a positive change, in all honesty, moving forward and future projects for it to be made like that. Right, it's just kind of removing the brakes from your car.
Yeah, and clearly you're not the only one that feels that way. Because this is what's being discussed internally. If the article is to be believed, this hasn't been officially announced yet.
Yeah.
So we can't really confirm. But Jason Try is usually on point with this stuff. So, I guess so. Problem being, obviously, Slipspace is like a really, really heavily modified version of Blam, which is what all the Halos have run on. Not many games use Blam, but the reason Blam is used is because it's really good at like physics. It keeps those sandbox elements intact, essentially. And some developers have since said that they're skeptical of this change because Unreal doesn't handle physics all that well. So that was my main thing, when we spoke about it before, and I said that it was hard to believe because all the Halo, it's the problem with Halo wasn't how it felt, and like you said, yeah, from a development standpoint. But surely in my mind, they could have just tuned the engine to a point where it became easy to work with. But to just ditch all of that, it seems like a bit of a gamble to me because, I don't think we're ever, if all games going forward, we get changed to Unreal, I don't think we're ever going to have a Halo that feels the same or as good. But because it's like you think of something like Doom. Pretty sure that's Unreal. Like that felt pretty good, but it wasn't. I don't know. I don't think it was like great. I think it was good. It's kind of like Wolfenstein as well. I think they feel good, but I don't think they feel great. And I think that's a bit worrisome, to a degree. But on the other side of it, we know the new head of the studio, Pierre Heinz, has taken over now, and I just kind of think somebody just needs to like lead this ship now. Joseph Staten's gone. Like clearly that was only a temporary thing, and it's got the Halo community in like in agony. But somebody just needs to like lead this ship. And if he's like, right, we're going to Unreal so we can have quicker development cycles and we can stop pissing around with this. We're just gonna do things our way now. And that's fine with me, I suppose. But then it's like I kind of hope they don't throw away what Infinite started, because I really liked Infinite story. I've said this before, and so again, like, how are you going to make a sequel to Infinite on a different engine. Like, I don't know, is that not weird? Like everything will look different. I mean, I guess they could try and emulate it, but then it's like, what are we doing here? Using Unreal just to copy a previous Halo title. So, man, I don't envy the people like trying to run this IP at this point. But you know, clearly, this whole reset that's been going on with 343, it needed. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad we're finally here. You know, obviously, I'm not happy about people getting laid off, but something needed to happen.
Yes.
I'm just skeptical of how they're gonna handle that sort of change.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
It looked nice at least.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying when you first asked me the question. I was like, it's kind of an impossible question to answer right now. Like, you know, you can see negatives and positives from both angles. And you've kind of just got to see what comes out with Unreal and then compare and see, you know, how it works from there. But you know, we haven't seen anything like this be made in Unreal before, and yeah, there is an element of like, are you kind of just taking away what makes Halo and the soul of Halo, you know, being built in these specific engines and physics-based sandbox gameplay and stuff? You start to realize, you know, will it be kind of like will the next installment of Halo feel a bit soulless, you know, to that extent, leaving that in the past? But only time will tell, I guess. But I think it's a good choice to make. I think something needed to happen. I think someone's got to take a leap. Whether the leap pays off, I don't know. But I I commend them for at least trying something drastic like this and just seeing where it'll go. Because Halo is just in a weird space where you need to do something drastic with it to keep it going. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And like, just to follow up as well, what was in the article, there was just some interesting things here about kind of what was going on and, you know, kind of the single player content, et cetera, et cetera. And this is something of interest that was in the article. So to quote, developers were making prototypes in the Unreal Engine and pitching ideas for new Halo games rather than working on new missions for Halo Infinite. Many of those developers were laid off this month, and the company isn't actively working on any new story content, the people said. Which is weird because obviously we've been talking about this Halo the Endless thing for a while, this trademark, and everybody was assuming this was an ongoing campaign expansion, but it just seems like it was just a trademark.
Yeah.
Like no development has been made on that. It just was a trademark. And again, was this like a management thing? Like we've heard a lot of X343 devs come out in the last few weeks and be like, management were really fucking us around. Someone up top being like, you go and make prototypes to Unreal. You go and make a prototype where it's a team shooter in slip space. You go and do a prototype. Do you know what I mean? And just making like these different camps where the people aren't really doing anything, but they're just experimenting, which is like double a problem when you've got games as a service running, having a nightmare of a time.
Yeah.
So, you know, do what you need to do. Scrub up the Halo Infinite multiplayer. Get that to a healthy place because I do think that will eventually get people back. Halo's too big to die. You know, and it's never. People say like it's the whole Steam numbers thing, man. It's never really that bad on the Xbox player charts. Like team shooters are niche now. Like arena shooters like Halo are niche now. Like one way or another, they are. And Halo's not the only one to do that. Okay, there are a couple of outliers like Counter-Strike, you know, whatever. But Halo's always sitting in like top 30. You know, it's like usually like in the range of Destiny 2. So it's never doing that bad. So there's a lot of like outrage about how it's like nobody playing it. It's just not true. So I think if they build that up, like to keep that on slip space, just work on that for how many other years you need to. That's fine. But the single player side of things, Tim, is where it gets a bit interesting. And, you know, certain affinities, it seems like they're just making a whole new Halo game now. And it also doesn't sound like what they're making is a strictly battle royale. They're making an entirely new Halo thing that's multiplayer, but not single player.
Yeah.
What would you like to see from certain affinity? Like that's maybe not a battle royale. It's kind of it's something else. Like, and let's pretend it's built on Unreal. Like, what would be cool for you to see in that universe? You know, because there's been different suggestions of like, obviously like a Warzone clone or a ODST sort of thing. Like, what go?
I'd like to lean into what you said. I think way back when, like podcasts ago, episodes ago, Well, I think you could do like a cool ODST kind of thing, but with the whole like the hunters, or whatever tribe they
Oh, the
were,
headhunters, yeah, the
the
Spartans.
headhunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could lean into a pretty cool narrative with that. Um, Again, I'm not sure how that would work. Because what did you say that it's not going to be like a multiplayer only thing now? They kind of
No single player.
no single player.
It's
Yeah,
a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer title.
yeah, yeah. I think you could make that a pretty cool like co-op sort of experience. Again, I don't know what sort of style you could do that in. But I think you could definitely lean into something like that. I think that'd be a pretty cool, at least like base story premise and like an idea to roll with. In terms of gameplay and
Mhm.
stuff like that, I quite like the idea of a Halo Battle Royale, if I'm honest. It actually sounded alright. But yeah, from like a whole like gameplay perspective, um,
I think it will have some battle royale elements, and there's like more equipment and stuff in the files. Like a combat knife was something that recently popped up in the files, which it's not an infinite, so it seems to be like some of these things are getting made for Tatanka or whatever that is. So it does seem to have some battle royale elements, but it's just unclear
I think you can maybe
what
go
it's
for
going to
like,
be.
I think something kind of cool, like drop into a map with your friends, and it could be like a PvE VP experience. I think could be kind of cool, similar to like, I don't know, you got like a target, fucking Valkrom of the Brutes or whatever his name is. He's stashed up somewhere. You also you got to get into the
Good old
base. You got to
Valkrom.
kill armies. You got to do all this kind of shit, and then you got to take him down, the big bad. But you're also competing with like other teams. Sort of, I think you could do that pretty cool in like a hunt showdown sort of style. I think that could be kind of
Mm,
cool. Everyone
yeah.
competing for this one target, and then yeah, you take home the trophy, his fucking spine or something like that. Like the headhunter sort of thing. I think that could be kind of cool.
Yeah, interesting. And I think like there's definitely the reports we've had is that there is some sort of PvE element to whatever they're making. So it's interesting. And I think it is quite good that we're hearing that Creative Affinity, Certain Affinity, just doing their own thing with it. Like that's good.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. Okay. The Halo purists are going to be pissed off. When aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's just,
yeah,
and this is what I mean about the whole leadership thing. Like, we just need someone to be at the top of the ship and just be like, no, we're going in this direction.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because like the amount, if you think about 343's trilogy, like Halo 4 to Halo 5 to Halo Infinite, they could be three independent games. It's
hmm,
fucked. Like they're just so all over the place because it often felt like they were always bending backwards to try and change the game to make it good for purists, but then also something a bit new.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I quite like the idea, like you said, of them just kind of doing their own thing and leaning into it. Kind of almost making their own genre with just like the Halo sort of title. Um, yeah, no, I kind of completely agree. Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, so that's been the whole thing this week. We'll see how it goes. I'm definitely excited to see Certain Affinity's kind of take on this. They're a really
you never
talented
said
studio.
what you'd like to see come out of them. You made me fucking answer.
Yeah, no, I'm right. I'm not answering that.
You
It's too difficult
son
to
of a
answer.
bitch. I thought
You
my
gotta do
idea was
something
actually
around
pretty
here.
cool. I thought my idea was I would play
Yeah, it
that.
was great.
I like how you
Yeah, I'll
throw
play
me
that
in the
as well.
deep end, that sort of shit. I feel like it's some kind of psychology experiment. I like
What do you
this.
mean? This is what you do. This is what you do on podcasts. Did you know that? Do you know you're on a podcast?
You're just dictating though. You're not coming up with your ideas. I put myself out there.
Okay, you do the next bit and you ask me what I
No,
think.
no. Let's not do that. Why shake it up mid-show? That's weird. We can do that next show. Next show, we can do that if you want.
Yeah, put a pin in it. Tim is hosting next show.
With the entire show. I thought we were just going to do a story segment to test it.
Next show. I've actually got a bit of a story here to tell. Nothing to do with any of this. I ran out of petrol on the motorway this week.
You fucking idiot.
One of the terrible things that happened to me this week. Yeah, it was really scary. I was in the fast lane and my car just started losing speed, and I was like, this is a problem.
Should not have let yourself get in that situation. What is wrong with you?
Well, I had to drive up to Liverpool in an emergency the day before, so I ran out of fuel, and then I had to go to university the next day, and I didn't have a chance.
So on the way back or the way?
Not as simple as that when you got a screaming kid in the back, Tim. It's not as simple as that.
I guess if you're by yourself as well,
yeah. So I had to climb. I couldn't get insurance to come down or whatever, so I had to like climb up one of the hills up onto an A road. I literally climbed. I climbed up onto a bridge.
Nice. Respect.
Yeah, it's good. So I walked maybe a mile until I got to a bridge, climbed up, I got onto an A road, and then from there I got an Uber to a petrol station, filled up a jerry can, went back, got them to take me back to the bridge so I could climb back down onto the motorway. I walked back to my
jerry
car.
Can from?
It's just a petrol station. They just sell them, don't they? Like the green cans.
Yeah.
You just fill them up. Yeah. I called ahead and made sure they had one because I wasn't going all the way there. But man, that was a whole thing.
Wow.
Don't do that, kids.
Fill up.
Know how quickly your car runs out of fuel. Yeah, there was a bit of a miscalculation on my part for sure because I obviously got a bigger car now, so the fuel consumption is worse, and like it ran out way quicker than I thought it would. I was like, I thought I could get to the next station, which was like only 5-minute drive away, but is what it is. Just
Rip.
Vans are scary. Don't stand next to vans.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed him, but on the notes, I've put something in here.
You put a lot of things in here.
It's in orange.
Oh, okay. Okay. What the hell's going on here?
Just do it. Just do it. I'm testing something.
Okay. All right. Okay, I've done it.
Great. This is part of the video, everyone. If you got this far, thanks. Like the video, maybe subscribe, maybe go listen to us on the Spotify after you've watched it here. Listen to it twice. Listen to the show twice. That really helps us out. Tim, click the button.
Okay.
What's the word of the day?
All right. So number of words. Oh, fucking yes, cookies. Whatever.
Just click it. Don't worry about any of those.
Generate random words.
Click.
Quest.
Wow.
It's
a really weird word to actually get. Right, Tim. I want you to tell me something about that word.
Something about it.
Yeah, something about the word. Anything. What is that? What comes to mind when you think of the word quest?
Life.
Really? Life? Life is a quest?
Life is a quest,
that's awesome.
Man. Yeah, I see.
I was like, Monster Hunter. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh, really? Wow, mine was much deeper.
Life.
Than that. Yeah, dude. Life is a quest when you think about it.
I know you're right. You are absolutely right. I mean, like any part in particular, or
I mean, all of it. A quest is the journey, and what you
What's
get
the
at the
end
end is, I guess, it's the sweet release of death, and hoping that you accomplished everything you'd like to in your quest. You found happiness, and you can die happy. But yeah, ultimately the end goal is death. Yeah, I mean, it is for all of us, right?
The end goal is death. This really did not.
Yeah.
This did not go in the direction I thought it was going to go. That sounds like something I would say. I think I'm rubbing off on you.
I wish you were.
See, this is a great section. This is a great segment. Essentially, look, dear audience, like I've noticed that sometimes on our shows that are like they usually get up to around 2 hours, and it's not just us. All podcasts do this. We get into a bit of a lull around the maybe hour 10-minute mark, where we're
Yeah.
just going over the stories and things get a bit less interesting. So I thought, if I make a stupid fucking segment where we just pick a random word and speak about it for 5 minutes, it will get the juices flowing, and then we can resume the stories. Is this a dumb idea? Probably, but I'm just brainstorming. I've had a hard week, all right? Fucking give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it works. Yeah, I mean, I do.
You might even
to
say it's a
drop off.
quest.
Nice, man. Because
Thanks.
yeah, there's just only so much I can sit in front of a screen and talk and be interesting for 2 hours constantly. So I'm sorry. I'm
There you
sorry.
go.
I'm deficient.
You're not deficient. You're wonderful. That's why I've got you here.
Thanks, man.
I'd take you on my quest.
All right, come on. We're overdoing it a bit now.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right, there's only a couple of things left anyway.
Nonsense.
Yeah, well, even a quest. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like many games call their missions quests, do they? I don't know.
I think they do. I think a lot of RPGs refer to it as a quest tab.
You think that? I thought they're usually missions.
I think so. It's normally like, I guess they put it as like journal or something like that, or sometimes it's quests. I think quest is used more often than you think.
Poll.
Where are you going?
Quest?
No,
nah?
no poll. You don't even know if there's anyone here.
Essentially, we've got one concurrent viewer. Whoever you are.
It's me.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, actually. But it just is. Quest mission OBJ. All right, done. All right. So the other thing I wanted to, so just sort of finishing off Halo, I suppose, very quickly. Halo Infection seems to be coming. This has been something that the community's been like shitting themselves about for a long time, and like I've got to be honest, it's Infection. Like I don't know, like is this whole 2006 thing again, Tim? Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, bit of fun for custom games. Who's maining Infection?
No one. Infection's kind of lame. I mean, it's not lame. It's not lame. I don't want to die. I don't want to get bombed. It's not lame. It is good fun, but yeah, I don't just sit and play Infection as my only game mode for hours. Like I hop on it every now and again. I mean, I think it's nice that the game mode's coming into the game from a custom game perspective. That now you can just load up these presets and these maps with Infection, and I guess you'd be able to tweak that Infection game mode in Forge and stuff now. So that's kind of exciting. But as like a playlist edition, it's a bit of fun, but like, yeah, shit gets kind of boring kind of quick when you just play it in like a playlist. It's not that great.
Like, because I remember when the game launched, there was a lot of content creators were like, "Man, we can't even get infected. We can't even get infected," and it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean even get like? I understand, like, as a content creator, maybe like you just solo queue Infection for hours because it's like, entertaining, maybe to watch. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know. It always seems a bit overblown to me. But anyway, the cool thing about this, Tim, is that it actually seems to be contextualized. If you remember season 2, they introduced that brute AI that you got in the battle pass, and he seems to be infecting people. So it's not your classical Spartans are just evil for the sake of it, or I guess maybe they contextualized it with the flood, but there was no like visual change. That was just kind of the assumption, I guess. But in the little picture you see on screen, that he's got a little AI across his face, and he's a little bit red, a little bit evil, and I think that's kind of cool.
It's
like
cool.
corrupt,
Yeah. I'm into it.
Because in one of those shitty little cutscenes they did at the beginning of the season, they put the AI in one of the dudes, in one of the headhunters.
Yeah.
And it like ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. It was really not that interesting, but I think the implication was that it could lead to infected Spartans because it's a brute AI. And I think that's the narrative thread here, which is kind of cool. I saw people complaining about it. Everyone, Halo community hates this.
Why?
They hate it.
You're still getting the same product. It's still the same thing.
Nah, brute AI stupid. Give me flood. I only want flood.
The flood, yeah, the flood.
It's like literally just play Halo 3. Just go and play Halo 3. Do you know what I mean? Like,
All right. You good?
I,
That was
yeah,
like a
I guess
shotgun
so.
blast that just came out of your mouth.
I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is annoying. Yeah.
All right. Right, we got two. I think two stories left. Maybe even one. No, two. Yeah, two. Okay. We'll end on that one. So the next thing is that Xbox have decided to raise the console price in Japan. Really weird. Don't know why they did that.
As soon as you start gaining favor with Japan, we're like, ha! It comes with increased prices, dickheads.
Yeah, like what? It's just kind of peculiar to me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I guess. I think it's maybe the similar thing to like what we spoke about PlayStation doing, when they raised their console prices, like pretty much everywhere other than the US, like in the sense that it's less competitive, but it's the other way around because in like the EU, PlayStation is quite dominant, and so they raise the price there knowing that they'll probably be fine. Whereas here, Xbox are like not all that competitive, so maybe they're just like fuck it. Or because I think PlayStation put up prices in Japan as well, so they're like we might as well just follow suit. Like I don't think we're going to get people buying an Xbox over a PlayStation because there's a price disparity. Like people over there are buying an Xbox because they like the offering. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they have data.
Yeah.
But
the small amount of people in Japan that will buy an Xbox, obviously they're very set on the idea anyway for a specific reason. So I don't think a little price increase will turn them off particularly. I don't think that's going to drop the margins particularly. So yeah, it's just a relatively safe bet, not hitting too hard to do it there. Yeah.
Why are some currencies so big?
Yeah, I know. It freaks me out whenever I see like yen and shit like that. Yeah, it's just like I just go into a store and like buy a sandwich and it's like 5,000 fucking yen, and I'm like, I don't know if I have that much, but it's
for a can of Coke. Yeah,
it's just so strange to me that the number is just so high for something so small. Yeah, I've always felt
it kind
that.
of feels like. It kind of feels like when you like play like an MMO or something that's been out for years and everything's like super high because the game's been out for so long that they've just had to keep inflating the economy. Rather than back in when it launched, everything with the expensive thing in the game would have been 100, but now it's like 6 million.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of that. Like I don't know, 60k yen.
Yeah, plus it just looks so ugly to see that on like a price, like 59,978 yen. It's like, what even is that? It's just it's triggering me. Like, just give me a 99.99 or a solid 400. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. Our white men, Western brains are struggling to process this amount of numbers. And like, just think about houses. Like, how much are houses?
Yeah.
Like, they're all like millions of yen, like 50 million yen. I don't know.
See, it's weird as fuck, man. I can't wrap my head around it.
No, me neither. It's probably quite the quest to get that much yen.
I vote that we remove this segment from next week's podcast. I hate it.
Nah, we're going to keep it in.
Or I'm going to end my quest.
Well, you're hosting actually next week, to be fair.
Don't make me end my quest.
You might say you've got a request to stop the quest.
I could just stop the podcast right now. I hope you know that. I could just turn it off. You want me to do that?
Let me ask you a question.
God, just please. Oh, that's actually all right, to be fair. Not that bad about that
fine. Xbox on at E3 this year, apparently. IGN coming out with an insider story. Don't see that often. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure Xbox said like a month ago, we're going to be at E3.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They actually said something along the lines of, we're going to be at the summer show or a summer show or something like that. So PlayStation, Nintendo, not surprising. I don't think. Maybe Nintendo actually. Did Nintendo usually show up at E3?
I don't seem to remember too much of a presence from them, the last couple, but I
Hmm.
might be misremembering. We don't tend to watch like the whole of E3 though, do we?
No, because it goes on for like a week, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. We tend to tune in and out for bits that we like studios we like or Xbox or something like that. We don't tend to watch absolutely everything. So they might have been, but I don't remember them too much, like hitting too hard if they were.
The whole thing here, I suppose, is that Xbox is the place that they do it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like just across the road from where they hold the expo.
Mhm.
Um, so the whole thing is that, like, are they just doing their own show then in the same window? Which would
Potentially.
surprise because if they are, I mean, maybe they are still part of E3. I mean, I think it's just a bit confusing now because Phil is publicly a fan of E3. You know, he said like, we like the energy there, we like the, this, that, and the other. So it would surprise me if they're just doing their own showcase just across the road, or if they are part of E3 but more tenuously. Do you know what I mean? That they're on the schedule, but they're not in the blocks with Ubisoft and EA and etc.
Yeah,
etc.
yeah,
They're like
yeah.
at the end of the week doing their own thing in their own convention at the Microsoft Convention Center. I think it's called.
Yeah.
I guess, Tim, what I'm thinking about is that I kind of feel Xbox finally got their showcase format down. I'm not talking about developer direct. I mean, like their main showcase. They've been good for the
Mhm.
last few years. The content, I'm not talking about the content. I'm just talking about the format. And they've all been digital. They haven't been live. And I'm
Yes.
scared. I'm,
I don't
I'm
want live.
scared. Yeah.
Live invites cringe, and I don't want cringe. Plus, live is just less lean.
Mm.
Like when it's pre-recorded and there's like a schedule and it's all edited together, it's much more lean and it doesn't hang around. It doesn't waste time. There's none of this fucking live show host of him like, oh wow, that looked like a game I'd play, right guys? Yeah. Can I get some
Yeah.
poggers from the crowd? And then the crowd just don't make noise and he's like, all right, on to our next game. I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem. I don't want that energy. And it would be a real shame for Xbox to have learned their lesson with the developer direct, literally perfect. It
Yeah.
has this nice graphical flourish to it. And then they're just like, well, you're going to hear it from the developers. There's no fucking Twitch personality host saying things like, well, now we're going to level up with Xbox's newest exclusive. And it's like, we
Yeah.
don't need to do this. We're not 12.
Yeah.
Actually, most people watching this are adults. Just talk to us like we're adults. You
Yeah.
know, um, I'm with you, man. I am scared. Like, if they do return to a live format, which I think they will.
Oh, you've gone like laggy. What's going on? Why is everything stopped?
Man,
Oh, you're back. You're back.
stopped.
I think you had a bit of a lag spike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What were you saying?
We've had a few. I think we've had a few today. Yeah, I was just saying what you were saying. Like, I hope they.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, but you're lagging up a fucking storm right now, dude. I don't know if I'm the same. I don't know if your laptop's crashing or something's happening, but yes, I agree. I'll keep it. I'll keep this going. Yes, I don't mind if they return to live formats like necessarily. Just do it. Just do it well. Just do it in a way that it still feels like it's been sort of pre-recorded, edited together, lean, that sort of thing. I just don't want filler. I just want you to say something, who it's made by, show us the game. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to get some people on stage to talk about the game, but like specifically for the game, I don't want any other cringy filler shit. And then just move on to the next one. Like just there are definitely ways you can still keep it live and just still have it feel like it's not, if that makes sense. So I'm not necessarily
It
scared of
does
the
make sense.
idea of a live show. I'm scared of the idea of them falling back into the shitty versions of the live shows that we previously had.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That sums it up.
Yeah.
So the final story then for this week is about Microsoft sending PlayStation a subpoena around the ABK acquisition. You know, for those who aren't familiar, essentially a subpoena is a request to get information, you know, an investigation really for Sony to put together a bunch of documents and send them over because Microsoft will feel it'll be relevant to the case that they're trying to make. PlayStation has had 2 extensions so far. They've said, yeah, we need more time. And it's really, you know, it's really becoming like dirty laundry, the series, because you get the sense that Microsoft are just trying to get some dirty laundry here, or they know but need proof of something so they can put it to the different commissions. And on top of this, the CMA and I think the EU, we're closing on like final decisions, Tim,
Okay.
in the next few weeks. So I think the CMA are due to give their final decision like in the next 2 weeks. So we this finally might start winding down. I think, you know, bits and bobs will happen, but like if the CMA say no with no, like if they say no with no opportunity for remedies, the deal is pretty much dead. Unless like Microsoft made a massive remedy, or like just didn't operate the ABK deal in the UK, which boy that would fucking suck. Like if they
Yeah.
managed to negotiate for the EU and the
Like,
FTC for the rest of the world.
what do you mean
Yeah,
remedies though? They have presented remedies. I don't get
nah, I
it.
need more.
I just don't get it. Like, at what point is a level of remedy that they need where it's actually worth fucking Microsoft to spend 70 fucking billion on this? Like, what? They just want halfsies. They just want to own it. They just want to co-own it, but we spend all the money. I don't get it. Like, so many. That's why I'd be so
Yes.
surprised if this doesn't get put through, or if like they don't just turn to Sony and just be like, "Suck it up. You've been given some pretty good options here. We're letting this through, so take one." Like, I'd be so surprised if this is just a straight up no.
Especially with the numbers that just came out that I was talking about earlier, with the PlayStations, like PlayStation hardware was up like 30% over this year.
Yeah.
Xbox's hardware went down like 12 or 15.
Mm.
Like Xbox has been doing pretty, like clearly last year really hit them, especially as PS5 stock became more available, and you know, PS5 had their marquee title with God of War. Like that's hurt the brand. And I think the numbers really show, you know, as has always been, that PlayStation is in the lead. Not well, you know, it's over primary, as the CMA like to call it, or the EU like to call it, high-powered consoles or whatever it was. You know, make their own category for it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
PlayStation's far enough ahead that they're not going to be damaged by this, you know, and they're going to continue to make acquisitions as well, you know. So
Mm.
you're right, yeah. Like, what more could you possibly want? Because if this goes through and Microsoft have to like remedy it with so much sharing, it's going to be like, well, this is pointless, isn't it? Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
it's pointless if you're not bringing if you're not allowing Xbox to bring value to my box, then we've all wasted our times here.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's just what it comes down to, and I think, you know, that's maybe what Sony are going for, you know, and why they're also
Oh yeah,
stalling.
absolutely.
They're stalling to obviously, yeah, like you said, try and get some dirt and just take as much time as possible. But like they obviously just want to fucking really drag this out to the point where, yeah, if it does get declined or whatever, or there's just not enough of a benefit for Microsoft to spend this money, that they're just gonna be like, well, fuck it, we just pull out, then we're just not gonna buy it. You know. Yeah, it's just it's a real, yeah, it's I don't know how Sony hasn't caught more like flag flack for like the way they're acting during this deal, because they are really just they're acting like such dickheads. I feel like they're so snaky. They're acting like such fucking weasels. You know, for someone that's in, like you said, it's in the lead, that's currently ahead of the competition, and they're acting so like petty like this. I don't know. I don't know how this hasn't resulted in so much like negativity around them. It's so weird.
They're on a bit of a conquest.
So that's the show, everyone. Hope you guys had fun. I didn't.
I think I'm doing quite well.
You've managed to find a lot of quest puns. I'll give you that. A surprising amount.
It's because I made an inquest.
An inquest?
Inquest? Yeah, an inquest. It's like a request, like a question, isn't it? I think.
An inquiry? I don't think inquest is a thing.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, no, it is. No, is it?
Yes. Yes.
Inquest meaning?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Inquiry.
I don't really have that much to add. While you do that.
Yeah, no, it is a thing.
I don't really have that much to add. You know, I'm glad to see the end of this. Hopefully, you know, we get some final answers and get a degree of what direction this is going in. But you know what? I have a funny feeling that somehow, somewhere, we're not going to really get that idea. I think it's going to continue to be a bit nebulous and vague for another while. But you know, the literal worst outcome for us is that the CMA fully blocks, but the EU get negotiated with, and Microsoft are like, yeah, this is still worth it. Because that will literally just mean that the regulatory government body in our country has decided that we as Xbox players are not going to get the same benefits that everybody else gets.
Yeah.
Like literally, Diablo would come to Game Pass in other countries and not us, for example, you know, just to give an example.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's the ultimate.
Couldn't be a worst possible outcome.
Yeah, that's the ultimate worst outcome. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, specifically for us. Yeah, obviously still overall as a brand, you know, it will benefit Xbox, but yeah, specifically us as consumers, that is just God. I couldn't think of a worse outcome for the deal.
Yeah, well, it's so much investment as well, isn't it? It's so much investment from Microsoft that we see nothing of.
Yeah,
we just don't see any of it because it's regulated, chopped off the table. So, yeah, put us out of our misery to this quest. And let's should we jingle on out of here?
Yeah. I don't know what's happened, but your video has been so laggy the last like 5-10 minutes. I don't know if someone is just sucking away some connection in your house, some bandwidth, but
yeah, I can see that. I think it's just in Discord. It looks okay on YouTube, but on yours is the same. Yours is running at like 0.3 speed.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, we're having some connection issues. I mean, voice is still coming through fine, so but yeah, we're jingling, dude.
Lovely. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Next week will be the 88th episode. That's pretty cool. 88, 2/8. That's,
nice.
It's a big number. We're coming up to the big 100. Again, thanks for helping us get to 50 subs. That's pretty cool. If you like what we do, guys, it would be nice to hear from you either on Twitter or in the comments. You know, we know we stream a bit funny times for maybe everybody that's not in the UK, but we'd like to hear some feedback as well. You know, because we'd like to get some things more right. Do you want the show a bit shorter? Do you like the length? Do you want it at a different time? Should Deck make polls? 6 polls a live stream?
No.
Should we have more random word generators throughout the show? Should Tim host? I think maybe he should.
God, that'd be a disaster.
And then you can ask me questions, So, yeah. Any closing thoughts, Tim?
No, I don't think so. No to most of those things you said, at least from a co-host perspective.
That's this. Is this why we've crossed 51 subscribers? They're your alts, and you're going to be like, just some feedback, guys. I really don't think this is a good idea for Tim to host.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have all the power. Yeah. But yeah, no closing thoughts from me. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, have a good weekend, guys. See you later.